That's right. Oh, it's always the longest.
We adopted the May 12th minutes at the last minute.
Is it? Did we just say it?
Oh, we didn't. Never mind.
So Jen, is it now official? Yes. You're no longer the owners?
That's right.
Okay, open council meeting or committee, the whole meeting disclaimer. This meeting can be viewed in real time online, is being recorded. It will be available on the village website for up to 6 months. By attending this meeting, you are hereby giving consent to being visible online and to being recorded for future viewing over the internet. Also, all information provided at an open meeting or council or its committees is considered public. So if you provide or disclose your personal information to us for that purpose, including delegations, presentations, speaking during public comment period, submitting correspondence or written public comment, you are consenting to that information being available to public, including through posting and on our website or webcasting. And we ask that everybody silence their cell phones, please. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. No late items, looking for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, looks like she is voting on, let's see. Carried. Okay, looking for a motion for May 12th, 2026 regular meeting minutes.
I'll second again.
Any errors or omissions? Hearing none, vote. Carried. May 26, 2026 special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Any errors or omissions? Vote. Carried. All right, no public questions or comments, staff reports, council verbal reports.
I think we should pull the correspondence though.
Oh,
Yeah.
correspondence.
So you won't need
Sorry.
to make a motion if it's being pulled, because you won't
Yeah.
be accepting it.
Let's pull it.
Okay. Motion for,
I think we just pull it.
Yeah.
okay, you can pull it. Okay. Council reports. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I think most of my stuff falls under the committees, so I don't actually have anything to report.
Perfect. Thank you. John?
Yeah, well, between now and the last time, I was at a Slocan Services Committee where we were working towards a North Slocan Library service, and that seemed to be fairly fruitful. Colin, I think you might speak to it. I went to a Slocan Lake Partnership committee meeting run by RDCK. They're looking for $100,000 grant. And it turns out that Slocan Lake has been surveyed extensively, GIS and all that thing. But this is a grant to actually look at the river. So it really doesn't affect us very much in terms of being a partner in it. It's not going to really do a lot. Area H, Slocan City, for sure. There was some good discussion, as usual. The other $100,000 grant, RDCK would take 25 grand for administration, so that's interesting. But I was gonna say, oh yeah, the discussion was, okay, so it's like Slocan Lake, you get three colors, red and, pay attention, yellow, caution, and green, everything's good, it's not that sensitive. And then, so this happens over in the Slocan River, so you get the Slocan River, after spending $1,000, you get all those colors, now who's gonna enforce it? So it was interesting, you spend all this money, it's good to map it, but the enforcement, was an interesting one. Anyway, I won't blab on. Did a Slocan student golf, a unit, which took 4 days, with the 3, 4, 5 class. Colin was, despite his faulty swing, he was also one of the coaches. It was really successful. It was really fun. And the kids had fun. Nobody got hit by a club, which is even better. So that's good.
Broke the window.
Oh, yeah. No, we won't go into it. Okay, attended, with Leonard. We're trying to work towards a community forest for the Denver in conjunction with Sunrise. So we're working with Sunrise. We went to a 3-day, it's called the BC Community Forests Association conference. They have one every year, and this year was in Lumbee. Was the actual Monashee Forest was featured. It was in Vernon, and made a ton of connections. And I could blab on for a lot of stuff, a long time of what I learned, but it was amazing. And we're planning an open house to sort of communicate with the public what we've got so far in terms of a community forest application. There's a lot of check marks. And in July, the community open house, but it was making 60 forests in BC. And last year, NAC4 gave $250,000 to the village of Nakusp. And that's the sort of, instead of the money going away, offshore, away from us, then hopefully we'd have a fire mitigation lens, thoughtful forestry like they've done in Lumbee. And I won't go on, but it's really, we'll have an open house to communicate what we're trying to do here. What else? That's it for me.
I attended the last CBEL meeting of the year on the 22nd. I've been pretty impressed with them so far. Both New Denver and Nakusp. I think it's important that this village keeps its relationship with CBEL going forward, and I'd recommend the village always have a council member on that board. There's a PowerPoint presentation here of our last meeting. But the only thing to comment on is their 2026-27 goals, or 2025-26. We're continuing on to be their 2026-27 goals. They pretty well make sense. CBEL already sponsors the computer classes, very popular computer classes in the Tech Center. I'm hoping we can partner on a few more projects through the library next year. CBEL also sponsored the cooking classes at the Fire Week this year. I learned a lot, and I'm hoping they do the same in 2027. That's all I've got.
It worked out.
Start.
Okay, I, as well as when I was over at the Community Forest Conference, I attended the 4th Rural Mayors meeting with the Minister of Health. And that's with all the other communities that have versions or reduced hours or whatever for their health centers and hospitals. So a little clarification was given to us on, because there was some stuff out there, they've changed with the health authorities. And the rumor was that they were amalgamating all the health authorities, which was not true. They're just amalgamating some services that the health authorities do, which in purchasing and things like that. So that was good news, because I think it'd be quite disastrous to have one health authority for the whole province. We had a few other discussions on how to move forward and working together to keep the ERs and the hospitals open the hours they're supposed to be open. Some are looking at having to reduce their hours, such as what we had to do in order to keep the doors open and consistent healthcare. That was interesting. The community forest is quite interesting. The minister had spoke up to the whole group on how well the community forests are doing with in the advancement of fire mitigation, different aspects and different ways of doing that. Because they're way more flexible but it is way more costly to do it that way. So their community forest conferences lobbying for a different fee schedule for the wood so they can continue the work they're out doing with fire mitigation as part of the forest management, which is really interesting. So it's just good news that the minister seems to be on board anyways, so we'll see. Proof is always in the pudding, but see how that works out. Okay. Mr. Century. The biggest news out of there is they approved, I looked at a bunch of different ways of working on the stipends of the regional district board in different ways that what's such getting clarification on what is part of your enumeration funds and what you don't get paid for and what you do get paid for. It's quite an interesting conversation, and there'll be more recommendations coming to the next council or the next RD meeting to see how that actually bedded out in the end. So that'll be interesting to see. No West Kootenai Boundary Hospital Public District, Rec 6.
Right. We had a meeting on May 7th and awarded the grant funds. We awarded $1,028 to Slocan Lake Arts Council, $1,000 to Haven for Ecology, $1,000 to Harvest Share and Bearware, and $1,500 to North Slocan Trail Society, totaling $4,528. We have a decent amount of funds for the fall grant intake, which we discussed in terms of timing. And so the intake will open on August 1st and close September 14th. So open for about a month and a half. And it'll be advertised, and that's that for the grant. Also, we have a vacancy for the Village of New Denver. And so if any community members want to join Rec 6, they should submit an application of interest to join Rec 6.
Thanks. But I mean, I can just jump into some other things too. The gym is functioning really well over the winter. All the equipment's still working, and there's so many shoes being left there. I'm gonna have to find another place to put a rack. And it sort of fell off at the end, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm gonna change the times, I think, for next year. I'll arrange it between RDCK and the school district, once school's out and both those, the school district has time to sort of agree. But I think 6 to 8 PM instead of 7 to 9. I've had some requests to go to 6 to 8. What does that sound like?
I think that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to organize like, instead of just open gym, maybe 3-on-3 volleyball teams league, or 3-on-3 indoor soccer, or 3-on-3 indoor hockey, something like that. So a little bit different format to try and get participation up. But yeah, it'll happen again next year in sports.
Great. Roseberry Trails. Oh, Slocan Valley Service Committee meeting. We discussed the library as it was mentioned in the library establishing a taxation through the regional district of Central Kootenai for some sustainability funding. Right now, it's been solely the Village of New Denver covering all the costs of that particular adventure. There is a little opposition to it from one community, but seems like, but we'll see as we move forward. And the other, out of that, which is interesting, as you mentioned, there is 25% DRD was taking off that for registration fee. The $7,000 request for funding from this service, and the regional district would be adding $2,000 for administration fee over and above that, so makes that request up to $9,000. Just footnote. That was pretty much that in a nutshell for that service committee. Roseberry Parklands and Trails.
Nope, nothing.
The Health Advisory Committee, nothing. Fire Department Committee, nothing. Single Advisory Committee.
We weren't able to have our meeting, we're pretty busy as we get into summer season. But I did want to commend staff on, the removal of the Pride crosswalk in the state that it was. I have received positive feedback on, that decision, at least just clearing it for now while it was in such disrepair. And also speaking of that, the new paint for the parking delineation on Main Street looks fantastic. So I'm very happy that that's done.
That's look good.
It's so great. It's such a small thing that makes such a big difference.
Library Status Committee.
Yeah. I attended and spoke at the Spokane Services Committee meeting on the 27th. The long going back and forth library contribution service issue is now back in the hands of the RDCK board, as the service committee voted to recommend to the RDCK board that they direct staff to come up with a North Spokane Library Contribution Service bylaw. Our next library status committee meeting is on June 22nd at 10 a.m. That's
Accessibility Advisory Committee.
Want to thank staff for organizing the opening of the trail at the Cohan. It was a super great event, very well attended, and just something to really to celebrate and to be proud of. Thanks to Councillor Fike for speaking with me at it.
I could go back out. It's amazing how it's been changed through a lot of hard work and money too. And actually, I forgot one thing too. I attended an amazing strings concert in Silverton.
Oh,
And she was one of the violinists. It was amazing, those of you who were there. And talented girl, eh? I mean, all of them were amazingly talented, but I was just kind of gobsmacked, especially the arranging
Miranda Hughes is
Miranda.
incredible.
Yeah.
blew me away. Anyway, that was amazing. So congratulations, yeah.
Thank you for the time to speak on our behalf. So unable to do the work. Okay. Old business. Excuse whistle.
We'll put that in the minutes.
Colin, you're still acting mayor?
apparently I am.
Okay.
Are there any motions on this item?
I will move the recommendation that we approve the disposition of village-owned property adjacent to 717 Sixth Avenue to Anthony and Leilani Evans for the sum of $62,500. And that we authorize the mayor and the corporate officer to execute the necessary documents to complete the transaction.
Second,
Discussion?
I will speak to the motion. Yeah. One of the reasons why I'm reading it out is because I've recognized that too often we discuss things in camera and it comes to here and we say, oh, I move the recommendation. Second, we've talked about it, it's okay. And unless the public's really reading it, they don't know what we're actually voting on. So I'm gonna try to work on reading things out. When this came to our council at the last meeting, I was in favor of the sale and comfortable with the process that we have been engaging in for all of the land sales that we have completed. But I did review everything from when it started, when we first took office, and looked at all the minutes and everything and all the rules, and really had to strengthen my own understanding between the difference between an assessment and an appraisal and why we've done things that we've done. And I feel comfortable and confident. I've even been one of the people that's been championing these sales and saying, I want to increase revenues for the village. So I've been someone at this table who said yes to these again and again and again, with the process that we have followed consistently each time. I recognize that the public wants more transparency and to understand the process that we have been going through, which is why I've been in favor of developing a policy around this to make it more clear for the public. But considering that this is following what we have been doing, I want to continue that until a policy is made. I think that's fair to the purchaser, and is still in the best interests of the village at this time.
I would echo Councillor Hammond. You know, in the comparison of properties and appraisals, there's a dramatic difference. You know, when you compare 716 6th Avenue to 717 6th Avenue, it's like my Matrix versus an Audi or something. You know, when you look at the difference in those landscapes, you know, it's a gnarly piece of work. It's a ridge with rocks and it's just gnarly, you know. So the fact that I'm really comfortable with the appraisal as well, you know, the over the fence aspect of it, and the final aspect, you know, and when it was brought forward, let's see, the second, so it was at the council, in the last council meeting. It was, let me find it, I'm sorry, but you know, it was one of the of all the appraisals that were done, well, the analysis by members of the community, it was listed as the owner's appraisal, but it's actually not the owner's appraisal. It's the company that was hired by the owner, or not the owner, the subject to do it. So it's like, to go back to my notes, I'm losing it here. I think the qualitative analysis is good. Walking that land and seeing it compared to the surrounding lots that it was compared to, it's just not, it's apples and oranges. It's not the same thing. So it's not fair to just go equal, because it's a gnarly piece of work. I think the vacant value estimate, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the process, and I'm happy with Councillor Hammond's resolution 2025-0229. So I'll be voting in favor of the resolution or the motion.
Yep, I think all of us agree we've done due diligence on this item. I think all of us realize that sale of village property to relatives of Mayor Casely would be under the microscope from the get-go, which prompted us to make sure we crossed all our T's, dotted all our I's, made doubly and triply sure that we followed proper procedure and the rule of the law. I believe all of us were convinced and felt no hesitation in our final decisions on all land sales to relatives of Mayor Casely. And so I don't have the slightest problem voting in favor of this resolution. And I'll leave it at that for now. So any more comments?
I think I'll just add that, like, appraisals and assessments are different, and that's one of the things. And I think, you know, one of the questions is the buyer paying for that appraisal, and that's something that could be explored through a policy. We've done that so that the cost of that work is not on the village. And that might be something to review if we want to change that. And then the other thing is that, you know, as a condition of this sale, they are required to consolidate it with the other lot. So, you know, there's been speculation of, you know, they could resell it or do this or that. And it's like, no, the condition is that it get consolidated. And so that's another reason why, and that's what we've done with the other sales as well, whether they were related or not related. There are other pieces that were sold to other people, in exactly the same way. So,
One thing I might add is, Jess, you might correct me, but I believe in this case, the owner has already paid for the appraisal
The appraisal would have been paid for. Yeah.
and they will be paying for the subsequent survey costs.
Yes.
So I'm just guessing that could be $8,000 to $10,000, which would mean in the end, this property owner could end up paying 70,000 and not 62. But we will be discussing this in the future when we come up with a land disposition policy or bylaw, so we're going to be covering all this anyway. But I think the decision on this is long overdue. I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion? Motion carried. Voting's open.
we're gonna get them. Where does he go?
In the fire hunter.
Where goes the barrel?
I did text him to say you're done.
Sitting in the fire truck too.
Watching the hockey game.
Okay, new business. Statement of financial information, Sophie.
The recommendation, and just let me read it. That's a good idea, Danica. I'll move that the council approve the Village of New Denver's 2025 Statement of Financial Information as presented in direct administration to make the approved SOFI publicly available and submit or file it as required under the Financial Information Act and the Financial Information Regulation.
Second that.
Okay,
Sorry. Because you're reading it, it doesn't quite read the way that this is written here. I could paste that if that's the one you want,
Okay,
or I could.
I'm
use
sorry, I
this
can't
one.
read it from here. Can you read that?
Do you want me to read that out?
I'm blind in one eye, so, okay, yeah, could you?
That council approved the Village of New Denver 2025 Statement of Financial Information as presented, and that the mayor and chief financial officer be authorized to sign the Statement of Financial Information approval on behalf of the village.
That's what I'm recommending.
That's-
Okay, maybe do that because
actually has to be.
can you read that from here?
I'm reading it on the computer, on my computer.
I'm reading on mine too, but it's a request for decision. Anyway, okay.
12.1?
Yeah.
Why is yours different than mine? That's bizarre.
The
You're
RFD
reading it from.
slightly
the-
different than the motion. That's all. The RFD includes what we do. Once you approve the SOFI, we have to file it. So the RFD basically says we're also going to do that.
Oh, that's what you're reading. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I seconded it.
any discussion? Hearing none, vote. Carried. Okay, 2025 annual report. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Voting's open. Carried. RDCK Regional 2026 UBCM Next Generation 911 Grant Application.
Second.
Any discussion?
We're moving that the Council of the Village of New Denver supports the RDCK in applying to the UBCM for funding for Next Generation 911 program.
Good.
We talked about how we're gonna verbalize some of these motions a little better.
Oh,
Yeah.
And there's and further that as well, right?
And further, that we approve the RDCK to apply for, receive, and manage the grant funding on its behalf for the proposed regional NG 911 readiness project.
great. Any other discussion on it?
That's great.
Carried. RDCK, yes, that's quite the acronym. CPF. 12.4. Bellevue Street Vegetation Lakeview corridors.
Speaks to that, seeing it's like pull it.
The Bellevue's.
Oh, there's a. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a recommendation here. Hang on.
Make a recommendation.
Yeah, hang on. Press the wrong thing. I will move that. Council directs staff to prepare a report regarding vegetation management and Lakeview corridors along Bellevue Street and the west end of Main Street, including current ownership and jurisdiction. The 2011 Secure the Shore Ecosystem Restoration Plan, current maintenance practices, public safety considerations, environmental or slope considerations, operational capacity, cost, and policy implications.
I'll second it.
For discussion.
In other words, you're saying, when you read that report from 2011, the treatment goals on like they're 2.6 and on page 7, right? The cost then is like 3,400 plus 600, so it's, I don't know, 4,000 and change in 2011. I mean, those treatment
Yeah.
goals, pardon me,
It's gonna be a lot more now.
it's gonna be a lot more now, but those treatment goals are very native, you know,
Really good.
native species and all that. I think we somehow, I'm not sure, what you said, does it correspond with the treatment goals that they suggested in 2011, with I think are also perfect. I guess they must.
The reason I bring this up is I've had people that are concerned about the lake and mountain views from Bellevue that exist or have existed to date are in danger of being compromised. And I've looked at them all. I've looked at what I call the Gustafson Bench. There are a bunch of scrub maples. In my opinion, they're just weeds. They are starting to grow up to obscure the view from that bench. And there are the other stone benches along Bellevue that a lot of them were placed to have a view of the lake and mountains. Some of them now are looking at scrub bushes and trees. It's my opinion that we don't have a scorched earth policy to remove all vegetation along Bellevue Avenue or even in front of these benches, but we take down some of the scrub bushes that are in danger of getting bigger and thereby make our job easier now than in the future. I don't know exactly what this report by staff will contain. But my point is, are people concerned about the present views being obstructed? How we go about that, I don't know. I could possibly make another motion after this. But, here again. So here, yeah, go ahead, Mayor Casey.
I mean, I read through the report and I agree with Councillor Fike. There were some really good points and it's, those have been some areas that I can definitely see the invasives are coming through and, the concerns, I don't know how much of a concern it is now of people dumping yard waste there as it was in 2011. It's been a long time. Maybe that's not an issue anymore. But I would see value in replanting the correct species in the correct way that would stabilize the bank as well as reduce the invasives and also shade the Moritra. That's another thing that was in the report as well. And the deciduous part of it was then you still have windows. So is there a way that can be done where you have windows of openings for those benches? I'm not sure, but the report was pretty thorough from 2011, and I think a lot of it is still valid now.
I'm gonna supplemental. I'm just wondering, like, in a friendly amendment with adherence, and not adherence too, but taking into account the 2011 ecosystem restoration plan 2.6 on page 7, because they suggest plants and the works besides the methodology.
Yeah.
They also give you plants, which might just get rid of the invasives, stabilize the bank, and also give you a view, in my opinion, looking at those plants. So I don't know, with some reference to the 2011 study on page 7. I don't know what's that sound like to you?
I think the residents I talked to would be okay with that as long as whatever we plant doesn't obstruct the view from the benches. And those scrub maples are now starting to obstruct those views. So aside from any report, those should be taken down. They may be in the final staff report, I don't know. But it's not only the people that live on Bellevue. I walk and bike by those benches all the time. And there's a lot of people that use those benches. And they're not sitting on them to look at the trees. They're trying to see the lake and the burnt out mountains across the lake. So that would be my concern, is we take those residents' opinions into consideration. However we do it, I'm not sure how we're going to.
So I can tell you, this has been on front of council several times over the years. Back when I was on council, whenever it was, years ago, I actually walked and talked with every one of the residents that lived next to it. And we had come up with a plan to be able to removing branches, not trees, branches and cutting windows in. So that's where some of those on Bellevue, you'll see where there's benches within amongst the trees where they had windows to look down the lake.
And those windows are now closing.
Yeah. That bank was generally cut by other people, and at that time we had staff go in and cut them. If you don't rip out the roots and everything, you don't destabilize the bank. The roots are what stabilize the bank, especially with maples and those sort of trees, because their root mass is very big. And you cut them, they just come back twice as thick.
Would it be appropriate, even if we pass this motion, to have another motion directing staff to clear the bushes and maples and clear windows in front of these benches like we had before? Or
We could, yeah. I mean, the city council will have to realize is that it would be a cost. Right? We should be budgeting for a time for maybe an extra employee that come in and help staff with doing these cuts, and maintaining that bank. So the public's not doing it, so the right things are being done.
I suppose it's out of the question to have a volunteer group do it.
Probably yes.
I've still got a business and work safe. Contract out for $1 an hour.
So that, yeah, because it was there were several things being done by who knows who in different things, but by not accommodating everyone's interest. That's probably one of the most scenic walks we have, where you can look at the lake and walk along there and look at trees. And there's windows in there and benches for people to be able to look through and see the lake from different angles all along there.
So I guess that's
There was a report, I can't remember when that was on. So you ever see that in history?
Not
that I
this
did? Not this one, the one before. It was on sidewalks and sight lines for corners and everything else. It's probably somewhere in your office.
I guess my concerns would be addressed in this motion. Because part of it is in a report regarding Lakeview corridors. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So ideally, my and resident concerns would be in this report. And then we could always then, when this report is delivered, make a motion to direct staff to clear said corridors.
What we could do is direct staff to give a fairly high level, see if they can find that other report and we can put it back to the community whole, or we can discuss a bit more and have some time to do some more research and see what it looks like if you want.
Yeah, I would.
Because I don't think this is something that should be decided in one night or over 2 nights, to be honest with you. I think it's something that would be nice to go over and hear what people's opinions are. This day and age, this report's old, things have changed. Some of the stuff has been done, some of it hasn't.
I would be okay with defeating this motion as long as concerned residents realize that we're doing something about it, we're listening to them, and there's a good chance their concerns will be addressed. To me, that's what's at stake here. We don't want to cut down every tree along Bellevue. That's not what we're talking about here.
You're not getting your chainsaw out.
No.
I already volunteered.
I'll call a question then.
Okay. All in favor? All opposed? Did I make any motion?
Yeah, what would it be?
We're just directing staff to bring more
We
information
can
on
do that.
this to a committee of the whole meeting.
That would be the easiest.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't need a motion.
Then we don't have to, that's the easiest for staff
Yeah.
to bring back more information to committee.
And if more members of the public have input on this, they will submit it to that meeting.
To make
Yeah.
it easier for staff, can we have more parameters besides just more information? Like what it, like you don't have to tell me now, but if you guys could tell me what you want to know, so then we can find at least the right information. So we don't go down rabbit holes that bring you what you don't need to hear.
I have thoughts on that.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
mean, one is it sounds like Mayor Casely knows of another report that exists, if it's still somewhere and it's
It
relevant.
may not be.
The other is this 2011 report. Do staff feel like it's still very, very relevant, not as relevant? And then for me, it would be, is there any sense of how we can balance the concerns of residents to have windows for Lakeview with the concerns of this report around invasives? And, you know, is there a possibility of finding the balance between those two things?
That is helpful. Thank you.
No, that works for me. So, we are directing staff then?
Yeah.
That we're doing to community
Bring
level?
more, yeah.
Okay,
But originally, when I brought this to staff's attention, it's not included in here. I thought it would be. But I did bring up the longstanding issue of taking down some trees at the end of Main Street, so there's a lake view. I thought it was gonna be addressed in here, but it isn't. Can I make a motion
You can do whatever you want.
to direct staff to get quotes from tree removal companies to at least on the cost of removing the danger trees and a couple others at the end of Main Street. Taking pictures of them. Right now, it's the two danger cottonwoods, that medium-sized double cedar and the birch tree behind it, as well as a few scrub maples. If we could make a start by getting a quote or quotes, then we could go from there. But we've been talking about this for close to 8 years now. Nothing's been done.
what's the motion then?
That we direct staff to get quotes from at least two tree removal companies. Regarding removal of trees on the west end of Main Street.
Total removal, not limiting.
Total removal. Two of them are danger trees.
I won't be seconding that motion.
I'm not seconding if it's straight up removal.
So be it, we can only bring it up.
Friendly amendment would be limbing double cedar and limbing some of the other ones, or at least so that when you come down Main Street, you see the lake as opposed to the view being blocked, but removal, it's just going,
Well, I don't care if it gives us a view of the lake. If you remember that wind we had 12 or 13 years ago, when all those danger cottonwoods were beside along the boat launch, and one of them fell and squashed that camper van. And the council at the time took all those cottonwoods out. Those two at the end of Main Street are danger trees. It can happen again.
Have they been assessed?
yeah, I think that's,
I don't know.
I think like I mean, the sustainability committee has been slowly working away at trying to find more information about an urban forestry plan and policy development, which is recommended in our downtown revitalization plan as one action that council could take to assess the trees that are in the village and find out which ones are danger trees, you know, which should be protected, which should maybe be limbed or removed for various different community development purposes. Where should we be planting for additional shade? And so instead of doing like a piecemeal approach, especially with big mature trees, I would rather see work on a policy or a plan for urban forest. So, yeah,
That's a big project.
it is.
You have to get funding for that one.
Yep.
In the meantime, I like Councillor Pike's proposal that we limb some of those trees to give us a lake view.
arborists can do amazing things. I've seen one just in the last week, what, strategic living can do to a view without harming the health of the tree. I hate to just take those babies out of there.
For now, I'd be okay with that.
So you want to make a friendly amendment to yourself?
I forget the motion already, but I'd make a friendly amendment that we could get staff to get quotes from at least two arborists to remove limbs from trees at the end of Main Street in order to enhance views of the lake. It's a long motion, but I can't think of anything shorter.
Got it, Jess?
It'll be on there.
I'll second that.
I don't know, that's-
And I do a friendly amendment to that and the other to assess the other.
The ones that are potentially,
The other,
any
yeah.
of them assessed as hazards.
Yeah.
Along Bellevue, you mean?
No, at the end of Main Street,
Okay,
Then we would know.
then it answers the question for everyone, then doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just,
Why didn't you have a motion? I'm okay with it.
how's it read, Jess?
I guess.
Glad this is recorded.
We got it.
We got it, okay.
Yeah.
I seconded it, I guess, if we got it.
I mean, we're getting quotes and an assessment.
There's
that
nothing-
Council will still decide. So
there's
I
nothing
vote in
done.
favor of that.
Yeah, there's nothing being done other than getting quotes and
An assessment, okay.
so you will be able to make a form decision. Happy?
We're gonna put on that.
Yeah, we have to. Okay, all in favor? Carried. That was fun. Okay. Centennial swim platform replacement.
I'll make a motion. I like alternative. I'll make a motion for the alternative implication one that council directs staff to proceed with replacing the swim platform using the. Wait a minute, no, not using, using the $30,000 community development fund identified in the 2026 capital budget. And I'll speak to it if I get a second.
That's option one.
Option one, yeah.
Read that again now. Make sure I got the right one.
Okay, alternatives and implications. Council may direct staff to proceed with replacing the swim platform using the $30,000 community development funding identified in the 2026 capital budget.
I'm looking at the right one.
Okay. I'll speak to it if I get a second.
I'll second so you can speak to it.
Get it on the.
I'm
floor.
not sure.
Okay, so it's on the floor, we can defeat it or whatever. Okay, so I contacted a local tradesman who okay, so first of all, this hurts me to not have a platform. When I live close to Centennial Park, go swimming there all the time in the summer. And it kills me to not have a place for kids to go and jump on that, kids and adults and everything else, seeing the joy that it brings. There's been one there for a long time. There's an expectation from the public. And I think especially the kids in the public that I've watched grow up come there every year. And I talked to a tradesman about replacing that platform. What would it cost to replace it? And using, back of the napkin estimate, but it would be heavy duty marine aluminum, rotomolded floats and then composite decking and deck edge. Okay, so you can handle that, Jason, for me? Okay, it's for a 12 by 12. And so that's the size.
You got a
Blades, square.
So how's it?
9 grand. Okay, so it's not, it's gonna cost more than 9 grand because you're gonna have to anchor it to the D7 cat track that's down there, reattach it and stuff, but it hurts me to not have a swim platform out there when I've seen all the joy that happens every single sunny day this summer. I have my brothers, I'd actually like to move the D7 cat track closer to the shore so that parents don't have so much anxiety about the distance to there. But that's a whole nother regulation. Now, so I would like to try and move forward with this because back of the napkin's nine grand, right? There's installation costs. It's not 30 grand, it's 9. And it's similar construction to the marina docks. And if you see the marina docks, you're good.
We could conceivably still have 20 grand left over from this.
Well, it'll be more than that. There always is, right?
Yeah.
But it's not 30 grand. And if it's already in the budget. But that's me, it's just like, oh man, there's so much happiness from that thing. With kids of all ages up to 80 and stuff. It's crazy how much fun is had on that swimming platform.
Conceivably, if we went ahead with this, had money left over, there's agenda item 12.7 that also would include larger funding, which includes construction of a new swim raft, conceivably bigger, better than the one you had mentioned. But if we went ahead with this, then we could conceivably have 2 swim rafts. What's wrong with that?
Are you asking me that question? Nothing.
No, I answered the question, I got a response. Yeah, what's wrong with having 2 swim rafts? Nothing. It's a possibility here. In the meantime, I agree with Councillor Fife. We could have a swim raft sooner than later. For less than 30,000. And the remainder of the 30,000 could possibly be saved for seed money if we need some for this shore grant under agenda item 12.7.
Just to clarify, we would apply for the amount required to complete the project because it's a grant funded. It's not funding coming from the village.
Wait,
So you
now,
The community development funding is a grant.
Is a grant. It's not
Ah.
taxation.
So it would leave funds in that grant
but we would,
for other things, but you wouldn't
You don't,
maintain any additional money left over.
right, so
for the
it's
project.
identified in the budget as conditional funds that we need to apply for and may or may not receive. And
Okay.
so,
Yeah, I misunderstood. Thank
We
you.
will receive.
Pardon me?
It's allocated to us through through the regional district.
So
It's
it's.
put aside in our need for us
Okay,
to
so
use
it's there.
for
It's
whatever
not gonna
project
fit on-
that the table decides.
okay, that changes my opinion on things too, so.
So the other thing is that I believe we still have the floats and we still have the decking. That would be a question to staff from the existing raft that was there. And if so, then all as we would need to put it back together if the floats are okay and the decking's fine, which I'm assuming it is, because that was not really the issue. When it was taken out was that the 2x10s or 2x12s that hold it all together were rotten, and that's the part that needs to replace. And you probably do that for quite a bit less to have that swim raft ready.
It's up at the reservoir.
So, it's not really a huge cost for that, but the issue will be because in this province, you can't do anything in the water, is that we will have to check and see about getting permission to reconnect the existing same size dock in the existing spot that's been there longer than probably most of us here.
So supplemental is my motion. I mean, yeah, subject to what environmental or
Well,
you
we
know,
have
regulatory reattachment
requirements, yes.
requirements.
Yeah.
I just don't want, I want to see a swim around.
I do too. I mean, we, as simple as, and then we could apply for a bigger, better one and actually one over by the boat launch where we can stop the kids jumping off from where the boats come in and the danger. We can post a million more signs there, but it does not stop them. That's not just kids.
What?
Yeah,
John does it a lot.
witness the adults jumping in as boats are coming in off, and you go like, the boat's coming in to freaking dock. Sign says no swimming. It's a very dangerous sport. And it's worse when we didn't have the dock over on the other side.
Okay, so I guess I don't have a supplemental really, but the motion's on the floor. It's alternative implications one. Any others? You're the, sorry, your worship, you're the one that's calling the shots here.
No, my concerns are no longer valid because I thought it was 30,000 within our budget. And that if we waste it and spend it getting a replacement dock that doesn't get built, out there until mid-August, then we might as well just do the shore grant. But if it's applying from regional district, I mean, it's still taxpayer dollars from a regional district. But it's a little bit different, so.
It's, I have to look it up, I've been talking without where the funding comes from that exactly, but I could find out for you.
And we could do the shore grant, as Councilor Moss said, apply for the other parts that would, you're just not applying for 2 docks because we would already have one. You'd apply for the second one,
We apply for 2 swim.
then we have 3.
No, another swim platform.
Yes.
When we have 2.
Well, I think the plan already has 2, like the Centennial Park Master Plan already has 2.
Yeah,
So if we didn't use this, like if we didn't replace the dock this way, we would apply for funding that would apply for 2 swim platforms anyway. But if we do this, then we'd apply for funding that would only have 1 swim dock because we've already done one.
Which is what the
Does that
shore,
make sense?
yeah.
the shore.
I think it's easier too.
Let's go to the- Anyway. I'm okay with it.
I guess I'll call the question.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Yeah. Okay. New Denver boat launch piling replacement.
I move that council approve an application to the RDCK Community Development Funding for up to 50,000 to support replacement of the pilings of the New Denver boat launch. I wanted to say pilings. Like, wait,
All second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor? Oh, we could actually vote on this one.
Can vote on it.
Oh, you're not allowed to put your hand up. You got to vote. Carried. Okay. Columbia Basin Trust short grant.
I'll move the recommendation. And I'll read it.
if you go to the, instead of pulling open the attachment, there's the actual language of the motion.
Oh, I see what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Lord.
You know, 7.5%.
Better late
Well,
than
how
never.
come we're, okay, we'll get into this later. Council
For sure.
staff will apply to the Columbia Basin Trust Shore Grant Stream 1 Project Planning and Design Grant to Centennial Park Waterfront Planning and Design Work, and that the planning scope include the Centennial Swim Platform replacement, eligible elements from the Centennial Park Master Plan, waterfront access, safety, accessibility, shoreline, and climate resilience improvements. And the council directs staff to apply to the RCK Community Development for the required local contribution for the Shore Stream 1 application, period.
Now, John, would you like to add that final part of the recommendation that's in the report?
Or the
It's a
RFP, you
motion.
mean?
Yes.
Just let me go back to it again. Sorry, just jumping around here. Okay, this one. Look at their eventually.
Is that this option part you're talking about?
No,
And that when the planning and design work is complete, staff bring forward a future report regarding a Shore Street
To improvement. Okay.
Ribbon's Physical Works application before the November 18th, 2026 intake deadline, if feasible, including consideration of the RDCK Community Development Fund as a potential local contribution source for Stream 2 application.
Yeah, I'll add that. You see?
I stand corrected. Councillor Fife?
Okay. Any other discussion? on that?
What's the second round on?
me,
Danica was.
I will. I think we just finished reading it, so I'll second.
Bill. Okay. Are you done discussing?
Hmm.
Vote. Carried. Yeah. Village of New Denver annual tax rate 2026 amendment bylaw. Looking for a motion.
I'll move.
Well, second.
Any discussion?
Better read it out.
Yeah, well, I'll read that this is because there was a typo and that the hospital tax rate for class 8 recreation nonprofit property was accidentally written as 0.0565. It should be 0.1565, so we're fixing the typo.
Okay, vote. Carried. Veterans Memorial Crosswalk.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll speak to that.
Make a motion here.
Make a
Not
motion.
yet, so I guess I better, I suppose. I'll make a motion. That council approve placement of a Veterans Memorial Crosswalk design in front of the existing cenotaph on El Dorado Street. Said design would be placed in a north-south direction on the west side of El Dorado Street. And that council refer the identification and evaluation of alternate suitable locations for the proposed Veterans Memorial Crosswalk to the Committee of the Whole for review and recommendation.
Second.
I'll second, but I think you lost me.
Okay,
It sounded like you had a set location, but then you were referring it to committee.
Maybe just describe the location more accurately.
Yeah, we've never had a set location. This is what it's all about. Is we're gonna have to make a decision quick. And so in the event this pavement painting company comes to us next week and says, we're ready to go. We come through once a year, we're ready to go. We need a location. And staff is brought in to play accessibility, pedestrian safety. To me, there's a possibility to make those things happen. There could be construction required to certain sidewalks. And this is going to be referred to the next Committee of the Whole meeting. And that's the end of this month. And then if a decision's made, our next meeting is in July. By then, the pavement company could have come through already, and we don't get a veterans crosswalk. It's a very popular project. We've had no trouble raising funds. People are very supportive, but we need a location. So what I'm saying is prepare for the worst, plan for the best. Is that in the event we have to make a decision, we put an abbreviated crosswalk design in front of the cenotaph on the west side of El Dorado. It wouldn't be a big, long crosswalk. in the middle of the street going the wrong way, it'd be an abbreviated design, which would draw attention to the cenotaph and that area. It would look good. But also, we refer the identification and evaluation of alternate suitable locations to be discussed at the committee of the whole for review and recommendations.
Okay,
So we could end up still having a veterans crosswalk somewhere, but in the meantime, by passing this motion, we're protected and we get something in case worse comes to worse.
so you're saying like we're approving a location so that if the company comes, they can go. But if the company doesn't come, we're gonna discuss it at committee of the whole in
Precisely.
detail. That makes total sense. When you say west side. Okay, west,
The side
This
of El Dorado closest to the cenotaph, right in front of the cenotaph.
right,
No, go
like
on.
here,
No,
here,
no,
We're sitting right
what?
here,
right there.
right this way.
It would be an
That's north.
abbreviated crosswalk.
Oh, so it's not actually a crosswalk?
No,
It doesn't actually function as a crosswalk? Oh,
Not because apparently,
I
you
see.
know, all I heard before I recommended this project was people talking about we should have a veterans crosswalk like so such and such a place and how nice it would be. That's what prompted me to advocate for this project. Now I hear there's people in the community that are opposed to a veterans crosswalk. Maybe this is the best decision. Have a design in front of the cenotaph to direct and attract people to that area. And maybe not even have a veterans crosswalk. That way staff wouldn't have to do a report. People that are opposed to a crosswalk wouldn't have to worry. And yet we still got something in front that ties into the cenotaph. It's an option.
Question, then, okay, so they show up tomorrow. You've got the funding in place, cut them a check.
We're waiting for one last check and the project will be fully funded. That's $13,000. We've raised since December.
Congratulations.
Done and dusted, but it's not in the bank yet, so I don't want to declare it fully funded, but it's looking good. That's a crosswalk in Spokane, a deep cleaning of this cenotaph and a bronze plaque with all the veterans' names on it. Plaque should be ready by the end of June, so the company from Vernon could come anytime in July and clean up that cenotaph and put the plaque on.
So that's a yes to being able to cut them a check.
Oh, yeah, we were, the second installment for the plaque is due June 12th and we've got the money. New Denver will be sending, Village will be sending the company the final check for the plaque.
Great,
We'll have funding in place for the crosswalk, the pavement painters and the company that cleans the cenotaph.
I think it's a great idea. How big is it? How long is it sitting on the west side of the street? Will it take up the whole lane?
It can be as long as we want. It's a crosswalk width. It'll probably take up, I would guess, the west side of El Dorado width wise. And the good thing about that is there's no cracks in it. Right there. It's perfectly smooth.
It is.
You look at the trails and it's painted over pavement with a bunch of cracks in it. It's a very low traffic area. To me, you know, if we were to defeat this motion and make another one that just approves a reduced crosswalk design in front of the cenotaph and go with that, I'd be happy with it. It solves a lot of issues, satisfies people that all of a sudden are opposed to a veterans crosswalk. Where were they when we first started talking about this project? I don't know, but same old story. But we could do that as well. And I'd be okay with that. It would save staff time and still accomplish the purpose drawing attention to the cenotaph and that area reserved for, veterans remembrance.
I have another question. Do you remember how long they said that these crosswalks typically last?
Depends on traffic. It's pavement grade paint.
And turning and all that would come into effect. Like if you're turning, that's the thing where crosswalks have issues. Is because vehicles are turning and they're scuffing. That's really hard on me.
Plus, the three villages will be buying the templates for $1,500. All the villages will share in that ownership. So if we ever have to repaint the thing, it'll be $1,500 less.
Do you remember off the top of your head the width of a crosswalk?
No.
You could have.
But it would take up the whole lane, basically the west lane of that.
I would guess most.
Well, you can make it whatever you want. You can
I guess you
make,
could, right?
yeah, you can make it 10 feet wide on that side.
Depending on the design,
Like,
because there's maple leaf design, and I think there's text. So it depends on the width of the template. But
Can we do the template without the actual crosswalk things? Like, can we do the other
Probably.
pieces of it? Because I don't like that location as a crosswalk thing. I think that that's confusing. And like, if we're gonna put it in as a crosswalk, it should function as a crosswalk.
well, that's what I'm trying to say, reduced crosswalk design.
Yeah,
Possibly the design and maybe a white bar on each side
yeah,
of a
okay,
crosswalk.
okay.
There's no point to having a big long crosswalk.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
Okay.
This
I'm
is
just
what I'm,
trying to visualize it.
yeah, this is
Makes
what I'm
sense.
trying to say by saying reduced crosswalk design. I mean, we can decide when they come, just what would look good. But that's not my intent, to have a crosswalk in the middle of nowhere that isn't a crosswalk, but we can make that motion to just get it over with, and that's what we're gonna do.
I have a question for staff now. Does this all make sense and is it actionable from a staff perspective? Like logistically, if the company came in?
I mean, yeah, it's fairly straightforward to allow street painting. I don't know exactly the location that you're talking about, but
Right in front of the Senate,
is it the area that's sort of a pullout or just on the street?
no, just on.
On the street.
The area of flow isn't paved.
Just some, like, I think the design had like
That'd be
maple
cool.
leaves and,
If we had the pull-out paved, then it'd be nice to be in there.
Yeah, it would be similar to the line painters that came and did their work, which is have the street clear and they,
The only thing the company asks is that we clean it, pressure wash it first. But it's be a very small area. And that pavement is crap free. That's big.
Well, it's slow traffic there.
Yeah. And there's some question that the sidewalk on Bellevue is on private property.
El Dorado.
Oh, sorry, Eldorado, and there's some question that someday that'll have to be ripped up.
Yeah.
Maybe even a single lane for Eldorado, so the crosswalk there, might, depending on future council, have to be torn up anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the street functions without, regardless of that sidewalk interfering.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
but
and the intention for that park there is to have sort of a meandering pedestrian path through to the park as part of a larger network, but yeah, the street is there and available.
It was like 15 feet wide, or 10 feet wide.
I think it'd look
It's
fine.
not the only narrow street in town.
No.
Could you read the motion again? I'm in favor.
Well, the motion I've made is this, but it could also be defeated and just a simple motion that approves the
It's too bad.
crosswalk design.
So nice, wasn't it?
But I'll read it.
no, I like what you have. I like your idea of the abbreviated, like not the white bars, but use part of the stencil in a creative way down there.
And I'm thinking maybe the maple leaf, and I forget the text that's on it, but just the white bar on either side. What might look good. It wouldn't
As
look
long
like
as
a
that
cross-
doesn't get confusing, because you normally have white bars at stop signs. And so,
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be able to decide on something once we see the template that looks good.
Could you just read it again? Just my brain is forgotten.
The motion that I have.
Yeah.
Is that council approved placement of a Veterans Memorial Crosswalk design. In front of the existing cenotaph on Eldorado Street. Said design would be placed in a north-south direction on the west side of Eldorado Street. And that council refer the identification and evaluation of alternate suitable locations for the proposed Veterans Memorial Crosswalk to the Committee of the Whole for review and recommendation. Now, if we were to just say, okay, let's just go with a reduced crosswalk design in front of the cenotaph, then there'd be no need for this motion. Then there'd be no need for staff to do any further work.
I'd kind of like to make a friendly amendment to that.
Go right ahead.
I think you did such a great job of raising the funds that you should raise some more funds so we could pave that bump out there and then put it right there.
Making you do more work.
Paid for it,
I'm
but-
pretty well tapped out for raising funds for now, you know?
Okay, so that's. But, yeah, I like the idea of defeating it actually and just coming up with something straight up. Unless, do you see
I'm okay
a
with
problem with that? Jess?
I think it doesn't hurt to have staff review and consider other options for committee to discuss.
One of the things also is that we could refer, like, if we went with just the simplified design that doesn't have the crosswalk elements,
Yeah.
but the other parts of the stencil down there. We could review the crosswalk design as part of the next iteration of the downtown revitalization plan. Because if we're going to do any kind of symbols, signage, indicators in downtown, I mean, I've even thought like, if we're gonna do crosswalks, we should be doing them downtown where we actually really need them. And so as much as having it near the cenotaph might be beneficial, having it on Main Street might also be beneficial. Just considering priorities. I'm just saying, like, if we put it to that, like, if we put something that's nice here now, that's part of the stencil, we could look at the whole crosswalk thing as part of the next iteration of the downtown revitalization plan.
And we will have the template.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it can't be looked at.
But I'd like to speak
I
against,
think you're, well, I don't know.
I'd like to speak against Mayor Casely's not so friendly amendment.
Make it work more.
Oh, the great
He
one.
didn't get a second anyway.
I can't see that ever happening.
I think we've got a pretty good idea. Why don't we just let it play out and give staff time to. Staff has an idea of what we're thinking. If they come tomorrow, then we could look at we could think of options of what might look good. It doesn't have to be a sidewalk in front of there.
Yeah,
It has to have that stencil to certain pieces. But maybe it might be nice to see something a little less and more fitting for there.
I'm okay with that. It's just, I'm concerned about them showing up
That's right.
tomorrow
They
on.
show up tomorrow now.
so
We're done.
can we defeat this motion that's for the full crosswalk?
Well, this, I say a memorial crosswalk design. We could put
A memorial, is that-
A memorial design.
memorial design, yeah, take the crosswalk out.
Yeah.
Make that friendly amendment.
That's great.
in favor-
Second, okay.
in favor of the amendment?
Yeah.
Friendly
If
amendment?
they come tomorrow, that can happen.
If not, we've got time for staff to come up with possible alternate ideas.
As well as everyone can go up with alternate ideas
Yes.
of the design that could be there. It doesn't-
Well, don't forget that
Who paid this?
there's a template.
Yeah,
We're bound by that template.
no, but besides like making this a crosswalk looking, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have to necessarily have this. The slots in between the white, you could just have two white patches on the outside of it, so,
That's what I'm getting at.
yeah,
The white bar on either side.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like a crosswalk.
I mean, just so we got time to think about it.
It's plural possessive, veterans, more than one veteran. Veterans.
You can't get any more confused. You didn't put down the friendly amendment.
Okay.
You didn't get a second.
Okay,
I'll move it.
I think we got that on.
So by passing this motion, if they show up tomorrow,
We're gonna do something.
we can do something. That's my only concern, because we've raised the funds, we gotta do something.
Would they do it in the rain? I'm kidding.
I wouldn't think so, unless you wanna put up a tent or something. If it's small enough, we.
Okay,
Call the question, all in favor? Okay. Zoning amendment bylaw. Small scale, multi-unit housing compliance.
I'll move that the Village of New Denver zoning amendment bylaw number 775, 2026, small scale multi-unit housing compliance be read a first, second, and third time.
I'll second.
Sorry, did you want, I'm just gonna paste in here that second part of the motion in the RFD, is that?
I guess so.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna read it like you guys tell me.
Yes.
I'm going to real quick.
People can read. Okay,
Is there a second? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's really good, like, and then you look at it, the maximum 600 square feet. 600 square feet is pretty livable space, really. So it's, I mean, that's as big as it gets, maybe not for you, but for me, it's livable. I live in-
that's great. Kids can't come.
No, I think it's really good, all the,
Yeah.
not the covenants, but whatever, the description of what's there, I think it's great.
Any other discussion? Vote. Okay. Then we'll be looking for a motion to.
No.
Oh, no, we got the, jeez. So that mean you talked about.
You haven't heard me yet.
Okay. Last one under new business, letter from Rosalie.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to the letter by Rosalie, from Rosalie Bird. I'd like to speak particularly to comments made by a member of the public at our last regular council meeting, specifically sale of village properties to relatives of Mayor Casely. I don't believe those comments were made with any malintent. I don't believe they were made with malicious intent. I believe they were simple observations that village properties have been sold to relatives of the mayor. Throughout history and today, we've seen and continue to see in different countries, different states, different societies, different cities, different villages. It's part of what for centuries has been called the human condition, is that there is proportion or a portion of humanity that we call followers. They're easily led, manipulated, persuaded, coerced. Oftentimes, that segment of humanity is prone to spreading rumors, innuendos, half-truths, outright lies. We all know they exist in everywhere. And it's not a stretch that there are people like that in New Denver. Logic dictates there are. It's my concern that comments made could be misconstrued by that segment of our community that's easily led. It could be misconstrued to make them think our council has displayed nepotism or acted improperly in our decision to sell property to relatives of the mayor, I would tell any new people listening to me or people who've lived in this community for a while that Mayor Casey's family settled this area, helped to settle this area in the late 1800s, along with other old-time families. They bought property, they built businesses, they've intermarried between families. It's not a stretch that when New Denver residents apply or ask to purchase village property, it's not a stretch. The odds are very high that they'll be related some way to Mayor Casey. I swear there's not a month that goes by that I'm surprised to hear who's related to who in this community. We've already discussed in this meeting how council feels. They have been very careful not to exercise favoritism, not to enter into nepotism. And we're all very confident in our decisions. But if there are people in this community that are convinced this council has displayed nepotism or acted improperly, then I challenge them, because they do have legal recourse. I would challenge them to go to the BC Ombudsman and ask for an independent review of council behavior, procedures, conduct in this area. What do you mean you don't have time? What do you mean it's too hard? What do you mean you don't know how? What do you mean it won't work? What do you mean you just want to be one of those people that spreads rumors, innuendos, half-truths, impossible lies? After you're finished looking at yourself in the mirror, ask, are you being led? Are you following someone? What gave you this idea? Because I've seen this happen in my 20 years in this village. I've seen it happen. I know how it happens. I know the warning signs. I'm seeing them now, and I'm concerned. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm not saying names. I have no solid proof of people accusing council of nepotism or wrongdoing. It's just that innocent comments can sometimes be misinterpreted, can somehow serve to damage the reputation of well-intentioned people. Sometimes comments can be misinterpreted by a certain segment of the community and end up actually dividing a community. So I'm concerned. And that's why I'm concerned about those comments. And I believe they have to be addressed. And in short point form, I guess that's all I have to say.
Okay,
Thank you, Councillor Moss. I think someone told me recently, and it's really stuck with me, that, you know, and it's kind of echoing to what you're saying about assuming either misunderstanding before malintent first is a really great way to live your life, is, you know, before you're assuming that somebody is intentionally trying to be harmful. It's, yeah. I pulled this because just as we did at the last meeting, I thanked everybody who came, who wrote, who spoke, who asked questions. Because I think it's really important that people engage with local government, and I think it's really important that Rosalie Bird engaged. And so I'd like to make a motion that we respond and thank her for her piece of correspondence, because I feel strongly that any constituent who writes to council should receive a response. At least just thanking them for participating in this process,
I'll second
just as
that.
I thanked the people who came at the last meeting as well.
I'll second that.
And I think people disagree, people have their own ideas of what might have been intended or not intended. But yeah, that I welcome people's engagement with local government.
I'm just concerned about that segment of humanity that we all know exists, that we call followers. They're easily led. They don't use deductive reasoning or critical thinking skills. Whether they're too lazy or they simply don't possess that ability, we don't know. I mean, all we gotta do is look to the south of us. I swear there are millions of people that'd jump over a cliff if they were told to by a certain person. But segment of humanity exists. It always has, and I hope it doesn't continue, but I don't have a lot of confidence.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm much like Councilor Hannah, I'm all in for like knowledgeable public questions, all in totally. But it's troubling to me when innuendo of nepotism with inadequate knowledge of the facts, the adherence to protocol, it gets in the game, and I think, I don't know, and then it gets expanded and broadcast to the public. Like when I think of all the hours of time we've spent in deliberation with strict adherence to protocol and provincial legal obligations, etc., that members of this council arrive at decision, we have arrived at decisions that we believe benefit the entire New Denver population. I just I would stop there.
Because I would say, if there are people in this community convinced of nepotism and improper conduct, I would say to them, what do you expect us to do? If a member of the community that's related to Mayor Casely comes to us asking to purchase village property, do we say no because you're a relative of Mayor Casely? Do they not realize that in effect this is reverse nepotism? This is improper conduct. We potentially treat a large section of this community unfairly. Ideally, people want a council that treats everybody fairly and impartially. People have to think it's a hard job when a relative of Mayor Casely wants to buy land. It's a hard decision. We knew our decisions would be under the microscope. The people not realize that we took every precaution. We made sure all our T's were crossed, I's were dotted, listened to our staff. Every one of us felt no hesitation in our final decision. We did everything we could. But there's always people in the community that are unhappy. It's always going to be. When you run for council, you have to be prepared for people that disagree with you. Some of them don't do their research. Some of them don't use critical thinking skills or deductive reasoning, it seems. And it's too bad, but it's the way it is. But do we need to vote on the motion to send Rosalie a letter of thanks? Moved and seconded.
You want to vote on, give direction to staff?
No, I think, I mean, I'm thinking of something quite simple, just like the verbal thanks of the people who
Just direction to staff then.
Or we can say, thank you, Rosalie, but she wrote in writing, so I think we should write in writing.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to exclude.
Second.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you. What, he's gotta go and look at that.
It's you driving by my house.
Night.
I think I voted already.
Oh, I don't think I did.
I didn't vote.
Sorry. Oh, okay, motion to exclude, I get it, okay.